this week. My name is Prince Apollo. I welcome you, all our viewers on different platforms. You are watching over our online platforms. You are watching from Uganda and beyond the borders. Welcome to the dialogue. Quite a busy week we've had, and the panel is set to take you through those particular events. Dr. Gerard Wansara, public policy researcher, is already in the studio. Will be joined by Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, a communication expert. But our special guest this morning is Mr. Cheyune Senyonjo, the RDC for Nabira Tuku, and he's a political scientist, political analyst, and a researcher at that. Of course, like I said, big events within this week. We'll be looking at the plan for rationalization that has been going on. It sparked a hot debate in Parliament all this week and several other weeks. But of course, after there is that turnaround where some of the entities that had been initially listed to be either collapsed or merged or retained by their mother agencies, at the end having been preserved, then we have to dig deep and look at what is happening. And again, when claims of bribery come in, then we have to go down and dig deep at what is happening in this particular plan, which was initially presented as a good idea to save public money that has been always spent on these agencies. And of course, we'll be also in this particular topic looking at another development after government, through the Minister for Presidency, deploying 300 assistant RDCs at a time when government is looking at consolidating the little funds to go directly to serving Ugandans. And again, in the next hour, we'll also be looking at a plan to relocate Luzira prisons to another place, one of the oldest prisons in this country. Another issue that sparked debate this week after issues came out on the planned giveaway of this prime land to an investor, and also issues around the acreage of this land. Others claiming that this land is not actually 260 acres as being portrayed or being tabled, but it should be actually much bigger than that. Dr. Gerard Wansara, please speak to our viewers, and we kick off the big show.
Yeah, good morning, our esteemed viewers. I'm really glad to be here again. Last week, my apologies, I was not here. I was engaged in other assignments. And thank you, my host, for always being on the phone even when I'm not around. So looking to 2 hours of engagement. But of course, I bring you as usual greetings from my republic, the United Republic of Chirinya. They are always watching the show. And of course, regards to my people of Namisindwa, Bubulo County East.
Wow.
I'm happy to be here this morning.
How has been your week, Gerard? Because my attention was drawn to an event that happened at Kololo, where there was a 7th Joan Kagezi Memorial Lecture at Kololo. And at the event, of course, where the head of state, President Yoweri Museveni, was the chief guest, the director for public prosecutions, Her Worship Jane Francis Abodo said they now know who sent the killers. She was positive about the outcome of the trial, which is actually going to start. We are aware that 4 suspects are in custody in this particular case. One of those prominent cases that have that belong to that list of unresolved cases, of high-profile cases, and that was 2015 when Joan Kagezi was murdered in cold blood. 9 years down the road, the suspects are now in custody. The trial is set to begin. The director for public prosecutions says she's convinced that indeed the trial will go on very well, and the world will know who was behind the killing of Joan Kagezi. I want to hear from you, Dr. Gerard. Are we going to see, after all that long list, with this long list of unresolved high-profile cases, what do you envisage? Are we going to finally get one of those cases concluded from what we hear and what we've been told?
There is an old adage, or by the Mzungu, the British, that there is no crime without trace. And especially when it comes to murder cases, or we call them homicides, many times you find that the evidence is actually left at the scene where the crime was committed from. I congratulate her if she thinks, by the way, she used to be our neighbor in in the United Republic of Chirinya. The way she got the office, she moved, I think, to a different place. But I congratulate her. However, I still have a lot of reservations, because since Madame Joan Kagezi was killed, there's so many arrests, you know, including Somalis, Muslims, and so forth. At the end of the day, we hear now we have got this real one. The next time, this is now the very, very real one that we have got. So I hope it's not going to be the same, because there are so many others now we can count. Abiriga, the former MP. We have had Chigundu murders, former DPC, Chirumira. I can count so many. The Kawesi, the murder, the attempt on General Katumba, and his daughter who perished in that attack. There are so many. And then the murder of the Muslim sheikhs. There are so many. I cannot. Out of those, I have not seen convictions. And for me, that trend is really, really worrying. And I'm not sure about this high-profile investigation. But then, usually, if you find the saboteurs are within probably the investigative organs, then that's the beginning of failure. You can never get to the bottom of anything. I am not saying they're involved, but in case they are involved, that is the level that they first have to fight crime. And I think if I quote the president very, very carefully, before he dismantled the police and changed leadership, there was a time he was talking of kaunkumi within the police. These weavers, if I don't weed them out,
possibly they were weeded out.
I don't know, but still lately, I thought that when the military people, you know, there's a hype about military people in this country, that where they go, they will make things change. Yes, in internal affairs, I've seen they have made changes, driving permit, so that's works. In internal affairs, passport, office. But if you go to agriculture, I've not seen the achievement of the army in agriculture extension services. Very, very poor delivery. So when they came to the police, I thought they were going to really change the police. But today, you go to a police station where you recorded a file and the DPP did their role. They sanctioned the file to take a suspect to court. But you go to police and they're asking you yourself a civilian to go and arrest the suspect. Do I have the coercive state machinery to go and bring someone? Up to now, I have a case in Chirinya there I was following up involving my cousin.
Okay.
Today, I discovered later that every time I went to the police and said, the man is there, you go and arrest him. When they give me the 2 police officers to go with in the car, someone else is calling the man to escape. So, unless we sort out that, but it also comes back also to facilitation, maybe because it's really embarrassing that police, you have to give police facilitation before they go and arrest suspects.
Yeah, true.
It's really a problem. Then you go to police stations where you can't even find a paper on which to write for you a case number, and then they're asking you to find one. So how will police fight crime when themselves they are very vulnerable?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we hope for the best, and we again pray that her soul rests, Joan Kagezi, who was murdered in cold blood in 2015. We pray that she continues to rest. Let's go straight to our topics for discussion this morning. Dr. Gerard, quickly, I want to pick your opinion on the general. I want to pick your general opinion on the plan for rationalization ever since it was brought to Parliament. Parliament has been running through those bills, considering agencies, whether they should be retained, whether they should be merged or collapsed. And first, give me your general view of how this whole process is going before we dig deep, look at the bribery claims, to look at all the nitty-gritty of the matter. What is the general view?
First of all, the plan by government to rationalize these institutions and the objectives that they had in the beginning, for me, they were very well thought out. One, they said, if we rationalize, we are going to be saving about 1.3 trillion shillings every year. And of course, if you bring something that is going to save and we invest the money elsewhere, that is positive. The other was that the rationalization aimed at harmonizing pay across the board, that people in self-accounting bodies of government, like URA, UNRA, like NFA, they earn more compared to their colleagues in the ministries. So they thought that if they collapse these back into the mother ministries, then they are going to earn uniformly. That was positive. And then the other, of course, the other objective was that there was some kind of impossibility where these bodies have their own boards, okay, that do the oversight over them. So even if in theory that these bodies are under a certain ministry, probably say UNRWA under Ministry of Works as a mother ministry, then the PS and the ministers had no power kind of to do supervision of these entities. And therefore they thought that the executive directors of these entities became bigger than they should be. So they thought that by bringing them back, then the line ministers and the permanent secretary are able to exercise, restraint on these entities. These are very good objectives. But where I found a weakness was that the focus seemed to be more on the 1.1 trillion. I am a researcher, I'm a scholar. I have looked around to see a comprehensive study that talks about how this rationalization is going to impact service delivery. I have not seen that. I will give an example. When some of these entities were created, let me give an example of URA. They said there was a lot of corruption in the Ministry of Finance when it was a department, and therefore the revenue collection was very, very, very low. When URA was created, the revenue collection
shot up.
And you can see now that Uganda Revenue Authority is more efficient than
Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance when it was a department under the Minister of Finance. Now, there are others like the National Forest Authority. We have forests under central government, we have forests under local governments, and then under the ministry there was a problem of manpower. And so there was a time people just entered the forest, either Mubende, where people just walk in, settle, and start cultivating and build and so forth. So a lot of forest land was lost. Now when NFA, because it became a matter of survival, that one, how can a country exist without a sustainable supply of wood? Because there are needs for wood, furniture, construction, and so forth. So NFA, I believe about these allocations that have been done politically for sugarcane growing, say in Butamira, in Jinja, or this one, Bugoma, and others. Those are political decisions. But generally, NFA has managed to reclaim some land, either themselves planting or even reaching out to the private sector to plant. They lease you land, and then you plant your own trees to ensure that the country has sustainable one, regulating the environment, climate, but also sustainably getting timber for fuel, for and so forth. So I want to know that will they...
Are you saying NFA has done good work?
I think they have done. You know, there are challenges everywhere. I have mentioned the politics. If my work is to protect the forest, and the forest is there, and then for you come and you give it to sugarcane growing, you the policymakers in government. So me as a NFA chief, what am I going to do about it?
So URA and the NFA, you point out URA and the NFA to have done good work.
Yes, there are certain agencies that have
in relation
done
to the objectives for which they were created.
Yes, because if it's about coffee, coffee was created because of Coffee Development Authority, because of belonging to the Global Coffee Organization. And they said to ensure sustainable supply, we need deliberate. But in such an area, probably I will not see a very big problem if it went back to the ministry. In UNRA, with UNRA, we used to have the road unit under the Ministry of Works. Unfortunately, the same challenges of understaffing, financing became a problem. But also you know that by then the population was smaller, the road network was smaller, because also the resource envelope was smaller. Today, Uganda's economy has grown bigger. So, and then others are talking of UNRA being a big procurement unit. Just doing contracting all the time. And then there are those who are complaining that actually engineers in UNRA are redundant because they subcontract almost all works. So they only, even supervision, they pay other private entities to supervise what they do. So for me, I thought this rationalization should not be taken in a blanket way very quickly. All of them. I think they needed to look at sector by sector vis-a-vis service delivery. Then there is the other big problem. Of course, they're going to lay off people. And I see in the budget they have put about 90-something billion to compensate people who are going to lose jobs. But I want to say that, for instance, NSSF. What has been holding NSSF largely are those entities, because they comply, they pay money there, and you know that NSSF only 2% have their 10 million and above.
As savings.
They are savings. The rest, about 90-80% are below 10 million. So you can see the implication on social security is going to be a big one. And then you know the role that NSSF plays in this economy. So for me, I see there are certain angles of investigation that government could have done better.
Are you saying the plan has been rushed? The rationalization plan has been rushed? What are you saying?
Yes.
Now it is now in its final stages, because Parliament has debated and voted on these bills and passed some of these bills. We are at the tail end.
Some of them, like the road fund, really. Why should the road fund exist alone? Just to manage money. To get the money, then you disburse to local governments. You need to have a whole organization alone. They are such that can go. If you got the National Library of Uganda and you put it under the Ministry of Education, that is very okay. If you merged Education Center and you merged it with the UWA, Uganda Wildlife Authority, I think that is very okay for me. Now, where I have a problem is that there are certain institutions that are so central, that are so central to the service delivery. But of course, I saw in Parliament, for me, the MPs are more interested in UNRWA because they interface with bad roads every day in their constituencies. Of course, government has done a good job improving roads, but also, especially in hard-to-reach areas, things are terrible. If you go to places of Lambuli, Kasese, Sironko, somewhere of Damisi, especially mountainous areas, they are really very, very, very bad. And because of that interface, I see outrage. MP saying that probably under UNRWA we are able to arm twist them and they help us. But now in the ministry, the bureaucracy is too long, which may be right, What is very disappointing for me is hearing the allegations of bribery that I was reading in the Observer newspaper. How MPs, of course I'm not surprised because these allegations have been here over and over and again. But it is very, very disappointing that such critical decisions are made through bribery, if at all it is true that there were bribes involved. But me, I would have wished that sector by sector is critically analyzed, and I would have wished that I see good studies in describing the relationship between the rationalization and service delivery for specific institutions.
Then possibly you're saying, perhaps you're saying the matter was rushed. The plan to rationalize government agencies was rushed. If you say you would wish to see more research and evidence produced on such an important matter, that is, like I said, the plan is at its tail end.
Yes, you know, as we know, Uganda usually we firefight, and I have seen countries where people have done this and then only to go back and reverse it. One of the examples is Ethiopia, where I saw this some entities happening, saying we are cutting costs. But also, the other very funny thing is, sometimes we do things like people who wash clothes and then we hang them in the mud. You are saying you are cutting costs, okay, and then you are appointing 300 assistant RDCs. Of course, someone will say they are going to earn 800,000, but are they going to sit in the office without doing anything? Why can't you strengthen the existing offices of the RDC with probably resources to do better work than giving us these people like the one of Gomba, who was creating noise in Parliament the other day. Also, I told you that there are people, I spoke and I will say it again. We used to have a system where people serve, retire, and they go home, and the young people come.
Okay.
Today, we have senior citizens, like whoever retires does not go home, becomes a presidential advisor, is earning pension, is also a presidential advisor, is having an office. Everywhere you go in town now, and the president is office.
They are given service awards.
They are given a car, they are given a fuel, they are given. Are we being fair?
Okay.
to the people of this country.
That is the discussion, and of course it is the big show. My name is Prince Apollo. Dr. Jared Wanzala is a public policy researcher and analyst, and luckily we have been joined by Richard Baguma, and I'm pleased always to have you on the show, Richard.
By the grace of God, as always, the Almighty, we are here.
Good.
And we are grateful for that. I would like to apologize to you, Apollo, and the viewers for coming late. And when you apologize, then you don't go in justification.
That's true.
But I hope that it's a good morning to everyone. I'm really looking forward to our usual, hopefully useful conversations.
Good.
It's nice to see Gerard wherever he had gone. I am hoping he came with some chocolate. But I am also absolutely excited to see the one you are going to introduce next. Yes. Many years ago, in 1991, I think, we met in 1990, but I think in 1991 we started the Needy Students Association. Together, we worked in the cabinet of the guild, and we have been doing things together since.
Under UPC.
1991.
I'm joking.
Really?
It is me who worked with him under UPC.
I was going to say that it is really who
welcome. Welcome to the show. And viewers, I will introduce, I call him Professor Chaine Senyonjo. He was our lecturer at Cavendish University. I really respect you, Chaine. Welcome to the big show, the dialogue. Speak to our viewers.
I'm very grateful, Apollo. Thank you very, very much for considering it appropriate to make me part of this show this morning, because you have made it to me to let me call it discover.
Wow.
Because this part disappear. Mr. Bakuma.
It's a reunion of
Richard Bakuma. It's a reunion. Gerard Werihe, as he says, we work together. Those days when we were the youth in the town here.
Yeah.
When you hear people saying, we the young, we the young, because it would at that time, we thought we would remain youth at that time. So even these ones who are saying, for us we are young, Museveni get away, because for us, give way for us the young.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, let's wait. He remembers how we pressed the party president at that time to bring in a younger person who was a little bit older than us, but was young. I said, put that one, let him be the vice chairman. And indeed was vice chairman. So we said, yes, we are the youth are there. But now you ask that former vice chairman, are you still vying for the youth? So thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to thank you and the management of Salt Media.
True.
And also to commiserate with those who have lost their dear ones, those who are taking care of the sick. I cannot forget our friend Segirinya, the MP of Kawempe. We have also learned that Omlodi is also sick, and other people that we don't get to know, but they are sick in the hospital, sick at home, sick in any part of this country. But we also want to encourage people to take care of themselves under all circumstances, because the world is not very easy.
Good. President Senyonjo, and Senyonjo is a political scientist, but also the RDC for Nabiratuk. How is Nabiratuk? Just in 1 second.
Nabiratuk is fairer. It keeps getting fairer. We are left with those of you have always shared with the main problem of Karamoja, Nabiratuk, is cattle rustling cattle raids. And that is insecurity, armed insecurity.
Okay.
Now, for us, as a district, the sub-county that remains notorious is one called Kosike, which is close to Napak. So they are disturbing the people of Napak. They raid them. They even raid Maseniko. Maseniko is Moroto. Likewise, those two, Moroto and the Bokora, that is Napak, they also raid the Koske. But generally, Nabiratuk is fairer in terms of security than it has been, and waiter. In fact, there are moments I keep communicating back here. Have you had rain today? No. When we have. So there are moments, actually we had more rain than Kampala around February.
Wow.
Yes. So now we shall be singing the other song. You have no excuse, my friend, to break my heart. So we shall be we are telling the people of Nabiratuku, you have no excuse
for not having food.
For not having food, for begging. Because my message to them has been, there is no garden in OPM. Food is in the garden. Enyamata emame apugan.
Oh.
Enyamata eja amusiri.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Maybe you should add my name. I have a name of Karamajo. I'm Apalo Nyang.
What does it mean?
The chief of the yellow people.
Oh, okay. Richard, let's go straight to our debate.
Yeah.
Quickly, tell us what you give us your opinion on this plan for rationalization. The last time we talked about it here, His Excellency the President had met the NRM members, MPs caucus at State House in Entebbe, and he was of a view that the bills should come in one. It should come as one bill to Parliament, but of course that was shot down, and the bills have been segregated, and they are being desecrated one by one and debated. And of course, what we look into today is the turnaround from the entities that were initially listed for either a merger or be phased out have been retained and preserved. Entities like NFA, National Forest Authority, NITA-U, UNRA, and Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and others like Uganda Cotton, is it Cotton Authority? They have all been retained. What is your general view on this matter of rationalization to cut costs and save some money?
The last time we talked about it, I think, was last week or the other week. I said to an extent, some of the entities, I said to some extent, the rationalization plan is irrational.
In itself?
That's what I said at the time. I thought that the omnibus approach is irrational. That was my thinking. And I was wondering, because my president he usually thinks through things, they bring things. I told you that this rationalization did not emerge from bottom. No, it is said that this is where there is a kind of an alternative center of government now, and it either brings people to be appointed or in very, very, very important places, or brings policy positions that gets then kind of forced down the throat of cabinet. This is what that's what we pick.
Sounds like the deep state.
Well, I don't know whether it's deep or shallow or in the middle. I don't know, but usually governance has kitchens. When we were in the guild with Cheyinese Nyonjo, I was on the same thinking with Cheyinese Nyonjo in the cabinet of the guild, and we had divisions in there. But with Cheyine, we used to be in the same kitchen.
At the same wavelength.
Yeah, at the same wavelength. So those things happen in governance, doesn't matter the level. I would like to believe that even at business levels, you have those who side with you, you have those. But I think at that time I said, to an extent, the plan itself was rational. It needed a little bit more rationalization, the plan itself, before we went for implementation. And probably the members of parliament feel the same.
So somehow you agree with Dr. Jared Ruhanzala that the plan was rushed?
I think there is no need, it's a lie to say there is urgency for rationalization because of cutting costs. That's a lie. The behavior of the people who are in charge of government does not in any way show that they want to cut costs. No. The actions don't. The mouths may be here, but the actions are the other way. So I saw a cartoon the other day where you have the mouth at the back of the head and the eyes and the other things are this way. I think that's yeah. So I think the members of parliament, first of all, omnibus. The second thing, really, is if you hear the reasoning why some of the things are retained, really they have a lot of sense. I work in the development sector sometimes, so I have a relationship with people who give us funds. We just solicited for funds for one of the initiatives I'm part of, and we solicited for funds to go through government, through a ministry, where some of these agencies are saying they should be taken. And there was even no pretense of doing anything, not even 1 shilling towards what we mobilized it for. The PS spent, and so what do you do? At least where you have these agencies, some things on the ground the funders feel a little confident that when you put their money, it can be channeled. It will be also hemorrhaging, but at least part of it can do. So I think that's one of the things. There is need, I think, for me to study this a little bit more. There were very good reasons why these agencies were set up. It's also not true to say that everything has been shut down. I think government was presenting probably 70 or so agencies to be merged or thrown away completely. I think the members of parliament are only simply saying we want to save about 15 of those. So I think still the majority of the agencies that have been merged, either whether have been presented for merging or even removing completely, actually that is going to happen. But that there will be savings, really. I think we shall come back here to discuss not just the lack of savings, but even more hemorrhage.
One quick comment on the emerging claims of bribery. And to tell you, Richard and fellows, it is true there have been intense lobbying. There have been intense lobbying with some of these entities lobbying members of parliament all through this period. And what can we expect? And the allegations are that members have received bribes, which has been disputed by the chair of the House, saying no member has received a bribe. But when these bribery claims come up, what's your take?
I find it strange that we find it surprising that there are allegations of bribery in such an exercise. I really find it surprising that we claim we are shocked. I don't think we are being truthful that you can have such an exercise, or where there's some billions or trillions in some of them go through, and they are going to be removed, and there will not be lobbying, or even something passing hands in this country, really. So for me to be asked that I am surprised or shocked, I would have been absolutely shocked if such things didn't happen. Then I would be shocked. How come these things are happening without any bribery or lobbying? But that it happened, that is what is
have we normalized corruption?
That is an everyday thing here. No, we do not have the power now not to denormalize it. No. What we lost is power. The power of the people to influence things. That's really what we lost. And because we don't have that power, what happens is China is a good example of the people I knew who was relatively communist, and he was stoic in not taking public resources. But he suffered for it.
He has paid the big
He has
price.
paid quite a price. And you see, you pay a price. So for some people, they are not willing to be that stoic to pay that price. So they play along. So what has perverted? It is perversive. Really, corruption has corrupted our
Thank you.
society.
Thank
So
you, Richard.
bribery in such a case is the norm, not the other opposite.
Thank you, Richard, and you impute that corruption has been normalized now. Cheyune Senyonjo, you pick where you can start from, because the objectives were clear: to save public money by collapsing some entities that have been duplicating roles and services. Here we are. Some of them have been, actually, some of them who were listed initially and listed as ones through which most of the public funds are being siphoned, the hemorrhage is happening. They have been retained. It's a complete turnaround. What did you make of this plan and how it is progressing?
First of all, thank you very much once again, and I thank Dr. Werihe and Richard Baguma. There is a book which I'm sure Baguma, given his background, that I know must have read. As a student, not reading for fun, a basic elementary book, The River Between.
Oh, Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Yes. Now Ngugi wa Thiong'o, when he's writing, one of the characters, I think it is Wayaki, who keeps making reference to Mugo wa Kibira. I think that's but it's a Mugo. Now he said, he kept saying those things were prophesied long ago by Mugo. Now we need to understand this. For me, I try to widen this discussion. First of all, we need to even understand what are we talking about when you say rationalization. So it means we are making irrational something. It means something was not rational. But what does the word rational mean? The rational means something that is reasonable, that is sensible. It implies that what we are departing from could have been viewed by a section or all of us
as irrational.
What is irrational? Anything irrational is absurd. Now, when you are rationalizing, it means you are rejecting what is bad. You are going for what is good. In this sense, we are trying to reject inefficiency, ineffectiveness, wastage, hemorrhage. I think it is Baguma who used that term. Now you are trying to live. Let me now use the other one. To live within reasonable means or capacities. To live within your means, your own means. Normally, when we discuss with right from some time when we were students, we were talking about people who live beyond their means. A person who lives beyond his means is one who he has 10,000 shillings and he hires a special hire from here to Mengo town, and maybe they will demand from him 8,000 shillings. Thereafter he doesn't have lunch, and will now go to Werihe to say, give me 2,000, I want to top up and have lunch. That means that this fellow is living beyond his means.
Or her means. Now,
so when we say the rationalization, first of all, I want to ask, what's the background to this? First, even in this, how did you know there is that saying that we need to examine where it started beating us. Because when things go wrong, when you reach a certain point of life, and you have so many questions, but how did this all start?
How did we get here?
Before the 90s, Did we have anything called URA?
No.
Did we have anything called Uganda Coffee Development Authority? Did you have anything called NADS? How did these organizations come up? But did the functions that these organizations perform exist before that? They did exist, but under certain departments, certain ministries.
Yeah, true.
You know? Now, how does it come? Is it our own making? A good thing Mr. Baguma has made reference to what I am actually. I'm a communist. And I have not deviated. In fact, but you see the good thing about this government is that it's a collection of everybody. You have got monarchists, you have got communists, you have got socialists, you have got capitalists, you have got pseudo-liberalists, you have those who have no ideological inclination. They are there. You have those who are really don't know where they are going. They are simply told to go here, they go. There is money for stealing, they steal. Then there are those who even see money, like me. I see money, sitaki hiyo. Because I remember when we were in school, they would talk about Masasi. Anybody talking about Masasi, I would distance myself. Those were dictate exams. I would not want my mind to be contaminated
to cheat exams.
By the, yes, that was the cheating exam. But there were people who were coming from Mbarara, from Teso, from where, coming looking that they are looking for Masasi in Kampala here. Now, me, I have a conviction that all these things were imposed on us. Much of this governance in this country is not our own. We have not invented it. When we think like this, there are those powerful powers that cajole us into thinking, into the practice of certain things, because they want to align our governance systems, our practices to theirs. That is what we call hegemonic conduct. These are hegemonies. That's why even you hear about homosexuality and so, those are hegemonic influences. That the way we do things with the powerful people must be the way even my neighbor who is a poor fellow should behave. Now,
Senyojo, are you saying the creation of these entities, the authorities, the UNRA, KCCA, NFA and others, was also an imposition on this government?
Have you heard about there is a revenue authority in Kenya, revenue authority in Rwanda, revenue, that is the IMF World Bank.
Oh.
Yes. You mean could we have thought the same way at the same time?
Imposing it on us for the good or for the bad?
Yes, and it started, one of the first victims of those things, what they were calling reforms, was Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, and they began praising Ghana in the 1990s as a case of success. That now when you want to improve governance, put in place certain agencies which are detached from the traditional systems of organization, of management of a country. Now we have rationalization.
Here we come, we realize it was a mistake.
But is it, again, I also ask the question, is it entirely us? Is it entirely we? Where is the origin? Is it the opposition? Is it the government? Is it the outsiders? Is it the religious leaders? Where is is it the academicians? Or it is the civil society organizations? Where is the origin? And if we have rationalization, it ought to have been holistic. Is it holistic? I don't see it holistic. Why do you target all the government agencies? You should have told us that now, and there must have been a richer background, what we call a national consensus. A national consensus where all of us are saying, yes, we have realized there is a problem. Because of astronomical costs, and because our economy is suffering like this, if we rationalize, we shall save the economy, we shall save the country, as follows.
Oh.
Then people get convinced. You mobilize. We mobilize the population to move, because that's what leadership is all about. That a leader is that person who goes, who makes other people follow his vision or see what he's seeing.
Chaine, I'm running out of time.
Yes.
But what I gather from your submission, you're saying the plan should have been, the strategy should have been holistic, not only targeting certain agencies. Possibly, you're saying it should have been a consensus on what
should be tackled.
What can be tackled?
Is it the political positions, like the members of parliament?
Yes.
Is it the cabinet that should be rationalized? What is it?
So you believe this was not rationalization?
It was just targeting, very selective. And now, when it is selective, then it is likely to be done haphazardly.
Okay. Thank you so much, our viewers. Chaine Senyonjo, political scientist, but also the RDC for Nabira Tuk, Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, communication expert, and Dr. Jared Warewanzala, a public policy researcher, are here to take you through the second hour. When we return after this short break, we will also go deep and look at the contradictions in this rationalization plan. You are talking about rationalization, but you are also appointing RDCs, 300 assistant RDCs. The RDCs in the studio, he will give us that broader perspective of this matter. Let's go for a break.
Was he part of the
and
decision?
Return after short while.
Why do you pin him?
Welcome from the break. This is The Dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, Dr. Jared Warewanzala, and Chaine Senyonjo, taking you through the big topics of this week. The issue of rationalizing government agencies, some of them in a plan to have some of them either merged or collapsed to save on public expenditure, is still raging. Some entities have already been preserved. UNRA, Uganda National Roads Authority, National Forest Authority, NADS, NITA-U, Coffee Development Authority, Cotton Development Authority, and the National. Okay, some have been preserved, while some have been merged. But what is shocking, but to Baguma is not shocking, is the bribery claims that some MPs have been influenced to make decisions on these agencies. What does it mean? And I will put it straight to Chaine Senyonjo. You expressed in the first hour that rationalization was not rational. But here again, we hear claims of bribery. Some MPs, actually it was the Observer newspaper which reported that some MPs were receiving between 500,000 to 2 million to make decisions, so to save some of these entities. What have we really become?
No, if that claim were true, then you would be dealing with the cheapest caliber of leaders. I want to repeat. If it is true that any MP received the bribery of between, you said 500?
Yeah,
$500,000.
$500.
500,000 shillings
and 2 million.
2 million Uganda shillings to stop thinking freely, because that means they are skewing away your mind, so that if you are looking in the left direction, you look right. Then it would mean that anybody who received that is a very cheap, actually the cheapest Ugandan. I hope
Baguma said he would be surprised if these claims did not come out.
Yes, but they could be claims, but may not be true.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I'm saying if it is true, then we are dealing with the cheapest caliber of Ugandans. because they were sent to Parliament to do a job, to plan for us, to make decisions on our behalf. And those decisions should be decisions of a strategic nature, short term, long term, and medium term, but all in the benefit of Ugandans. But if you can stop thinking for a mere 500, 500, you go to, I see supermarket, when I go to supermarket, where I go to supermarket, purposes of observations, how are people Ugandans behaving, because me, I normally go to buy one item in a supermarket. But you find a person loaded with almost a tukutuku of commodities, and the money is beyond 500,000 shillings. So if you are somebody receives to do that, then that's bad. But as Baguma says, you know, the atmosphere in Uganda is loaded with claims and realities about bribery, corruption generally, money. And even people do all sorts of things. If we went into a debate of corruption, that would be even a very bigger discussion, because you see Ugandans, you know, they think it is only people in the government who are corrupt. But imagine a person who is selling falsified commodities in a market. A person is telling you is selling OD. You know, I don't know if you know OD.
I know.
He's selling OD, but he got beans, got seeds of I'm told they get seeds of jackfruit, fene, crush them and make them part of groundnuts, and they claim that is OD. That's a corrupt person. So, but it would be very unfortunate. But as I said, my fundamental point is, if we had to have rationalization, we ought to have thought about rationalization of government in its entirety. That in its entirety means now you go sector by what? By sector. It means that if all of us here are of the same qualifications, but working in different ministries or departments, our salary scale should be the same. But if we are of the same qualifications here, but then I happen to work in organization A, I get 40 million. Baguma works in B, he gets 20,000. Where he works in C, he gets 500,000 shillings. It means we are not rational. People will say, but you are of the same qualification, same experience almost. What is the explanation of the discrepancy? So, when those discrepancies are there, you cannot talk about acting rationally. In fact, in one of the studies I qualified in, we say that there is a statement, there is a theory called the realism. They say that states, like human beings, are rational actors. Rational in the sense that they seek to maximize interest. State, even a human being, we are here trying to maximize what our individual interests are. But now, if we don't do that, then it means we are acting irrational.
And quickly, before I go to Dr. Jared Waranzala, make a comment on the appointment of and deployment of assistant RDCs at this time when we are talking about rationalization. Does it make sense to you?
Me, I want to use the law. I want to make reference, because I have had many talk without making reference to the law. I had one mayor in this city, and they describe him as a doctor, like they described this one. But the other one, I wondered if he's a doctor of witchcraft, because he was not talking doctorial.
Yeah.
Because when you are talking doctorial, you don't make sweeping
What
statements.
did he say?
He said, RDCs have no work. RDCs, they don't, what they are told to do is not in the law, is illegal. But I'm making reference to the local government.
That was not doctorial.
That's not doctorial.
Okay.
It was witchcraftorial. Now, but
let me tell our viewers that you can be part of this conversation. You go to your message editor, send an SMS to 0701609906. The number is running on your screen. Send your comments, observations on this process for rationalization. How do you see it going? And you can also use the WhatsApp platform. Send us your messages, and of course we'll get time to read out those messages. Go on, Professor Senyonjo.
Now, Section 72 of the Local Governments Act, the one that was amended, Part 1, says that there shall be such number of deputy or assistant district resident commissioners in a district as the president may deem necessary.
I suppose you're reading from the Constitution.
No. This is the Local Government Act. The Constitution is here.
Okay.
The Constitution, the article is 203. Yeah, this one. It's not as elaborate as the Local Government Act.
Okay.
So this one, 72, is what I have read. It mentions the position of assistant RDCs. Now, the numbers are not specified. It is left. It seems to have been left to as the president may deem necessary. But now, maybe what we need to probe is this really the work of the president?
We suppose, because it is his office that deploys RDCs.
Yes, but now, realistically speaking, academically speaking, now, because academics don't allow you to simply swallow.
But you see, the debate, Mr. Senyonjo, has been on the necessity to deploy assistant RDCs when already we have RDCs like you in office. You have a deputy, and then an assistant is coming on board.
Now, I think that is part of now the contradictions as we have been discussing, that the rationalization could have been engaged in without adequate preparation. Yes, one will say, but the cabinet appointed a committee. There was a committee which worked for a number of years to plan for that rationalization. So when I said adequate preparation, then people would say, but I think I'm not right. But why did you zero on? Why did you limit? Why was it limited to just a sector, not the entire government? Because I've told you, I've given you the example. Because when you rationalize, it means even rationalize the pay for same pay for equal amount of job, or similar positions.
Tasks and roles.
These people are experienced. If it is a degree, it is a degree. Give them the same. What is special? Now, but here, the president appoints assistant RDCs as provided. I've told you what we need to probe is it entirely? Where is the source? Usually the government has got simple intricacies. Then the other thing is that the president is the chief finance officer in this country. And being that, it means he knows more than any other person what is in the treasury. Yes.
You are in office. You understand the roles and the task you undertake or partake every day within, in your office. Do you really need an assistant RDC below your deputy?
You see, I didn't appoint myself. And when I was appointed, my roles are here in the Local Governments Act. They are also here in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And I think I try to execute them. Let me actually use this opportunity to dispel a claim I've had that the work was too much, so much that RDCs were beginning to obtain the assistance of non-appointed officers. I have never done this, and I will never do it in my life.
So you execute your roles.
It is me, because I'm the one responsible. How do I get an apple from somewhere? Maybe it's my friend say, now you go and do my work. And as chairman of district statutory committee, I have an array of officers from whom I can delegate. If the diesel is not there, if the deputy is not there, the diesel is there. If not, the DPC is there. If not, cow is there. Now, how do I extend to a villager? Here, this is the meaning, some of us.
So the workload is not so huge.
It is manageable.
It's manageable.
Yes,
I
but
think
the appointing authority
yeah.
is at liberty, because
Yes.
the law tells him appoint.
We get you. We
Yes.
get you. Richard, isn't it a contradiction to see at a time of rationalization debate and you deploy 300 assistant RDCs?
No, it's a diversion.
What do you mean?
It's a diversion. It's a diversion. You see, assistant RDCs, first of all, we have been discussing the individuals. By the way, we have not even been discussing this, the cost of this, the appointment of it. It's the individuals. Yeah, I see a lot of talk.
This one does not qualify.
People have never heard of. Others who have apparently been exhibiting their buttocks and other things to the public. I hear, this is what I read. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect diversion.
I hear you.
We have been discussing rationalization. We have been discussing tax.
Yeah, taxes.
The hegemonic tax behavior and regime. We are discussing human rights issues and familial appointments. And then you throw this is diversion. and it's really working.
We call it a red herring.
It is really working. I don't know what, I've never seen a red herring actually, have I? I'm not even sure what it looks like.
Oh, it is a blue.
But I think it's working. Imagine us sitting here and talking about these fellows. And that becomes a national
issue.
Yeah, national issue. You see, if you talk about rationalization and you have the budgets of the Chief Justice, the Speaker, I'm saying the President and State House, and they are all increased. So what are we talking about, honestly? What are we discussing? Rationalization? I think we are living a lie. When you talk about rationalization, and you see that bribery, bribery of Parliament, have we not? This is the 11th. Where they are not talk of 5 million shillings for something.
Yeah.
China here was talking about people being cheap. Wasn't there a talk of 40 million the other day? And people came out and said, I received.
They wanted to return.
They wanted to return and they have nowhere to put it. And they instead became police cases. So this assistant RDC thing, I think for me, is a perfect diversion. And it is diverting. And I think we should be talking about the rationalization that is being talked about and the increase of all the budgets, travel allowance, whatever it is, classified, for all these offices. I think this, for me, so that's why I call it a diversion apple.
I hear you. You are a communication expert. You must have picked it right. Dr. Jedediah Wanzala, do you also see it as a diversion from the raging debate that has been on taxes, high taxes, and the high-handedness in implementation of the tax laws and policies?
Well, I would call it diversion, maybe based on the timing of the releasing of this list, that so many other issues are being discussed, and then this one comes in. But that office has been struggling. We live in this community, we relate with the cadres, so many are complaining. I think the employment sector has become so challenging. There are so many mobilizers who think they should be given jobs in government, which jobs are not there, and then under pressure, some of them are absorbed, thinking they're celebrating, they're going to do a lot of things, including arresting their enemies and things like that. But many of them are going to get frustrated because I think the president has through his office has given them Panadol to survive, to cool off the headache. But one thing that is clear that I and you can agree about, Apollo, is that the rationalization we are not talking about, is what they are doing is going to be inconsequential in terms of expenditure, in terms of government financing. There are a lot of places of wastage. People have done analysis of the budgets they have, you know. There are people now who don't want to go to that parliament, for instance. There are elected MPs who don't want to go there because of the crowds. And they think where they belonged probably 10, 15 years ago is not where they are. So discussions would be, do we still need all this? That's an area maybe where, and then he's talking about salaries, Mr. Chene Senyonjo. You'll go to people in parliament, probably they are the technical, and of course they do good work, but you say that salaries are very high, actually, even higher than so many other agencies that are being rationalized. So it's a fact.
I know you are aware there is an ongoing process to harmonize the salary structure.
Well, but you see that that committee of parliament is as quiet as a cemetery since that was referred there. You know, it was referred there, but now it's coming to almost a year. It as quiet as a cemetery, nothing is coming out. Instead, government chose, like in the beginning, in the preamble, I told you, that one of the objectives of rationalization was that they would push people in the line ministries and therefore get an opportunity to harmonize the pay. If you don't allow the ministry budget, then you resign and go into the private sector. So I think in one way or the other, they had to first abandon that and look at a way of using this strategy. But my point
But
was,
now that some entities have been saved, like UNRWA and NFA, and we know that they have been earning big salaries.
yes.
How do you think that will be worked out then to harmonize the salary structures in these agencies together with the ministries and departments?
I think there's no monkey that wants to burn the forest where it lives. For me, this is what I am seeing, that, oh, this is an easier way of handling it than holistically looking at the entire establishment. Do we need over 100 advisors of the president? Probably not. Do we need to have so many districts that then we can fill the services, but which districts are employing at about 50% and the rest of the jobs are vacant? Do we need to run like that? Okay. Do we need to continue increasing the budget for classified expenditure, or we might have, you know, we might have to look at it differently? Do we need to counter the opulence of some leaders who are moving with the sacks, that if the president is giving envelopes, does every leader this financial year? I've seen now donations. I think people discover that the target is becoming the president. Now this financial year, they have put donations for the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Principal Judge. Now everyone has to move with money in town as a donor. So are we saying that these offices are replacing service delivery, that all of us become donors? Is it sustainable? Do we believe that MPs should get more allowances, sometimes in cash as mileage, in order to meet the needs of constituents? Begging? So I think we need to look at it as
did you say the appointment of assistant IRDCs was to create jobs for disgruntled NRM cadres?
One time I was invited to a platform called NRM Senior Cadres Forum, and used to have debates. So I was invited as a guest. I think let me say this has nothing to do with. So we used to debate online. So they invite a guest, and then you talk. All the senior cadres of the NRM are there, but the quarrels on that platform are too many. People looking for appointments, complaining why the president picks people from the opposition. The next day they get jobs, and the battle-hardened cadres are on the streets. So the pressure is too much. The lobbying is too much, to the extent that you sympathize with Ugandans who work every day and are not in government. They are the heroes of this country because they are able, the Richard is here, they're able to scratch their heads and look for money and pay tax. And then others have to enjoy the taxes. said.
Richard, isn't it a contradiction again? As we, well, you call it a diversion, but me, I look at a contradiction when the debate on taxes is raging, and then you create new channels of public expenditure.
Yeah, but you see, what can I say? I keep using this word, the 6-letter word.
Can't that be
the 8-letter word? I tell you.
Can't that be insightful in any way to incite the public? In any way?
I told you. I keep saying this word. Someone was teasing me now, nicknaming me that. But the impunity. You see, this we used to say in our earlier times. We used to call it ono korachi. Yeah. That's what they say. I am driving, I drive badly, I cross in your head, and I'm like, oh no, Nkorachi. That for me is, and I keep saying, this attitude has really grown. And it has become behavior. It really has become behavior. You see, when Dr. Weri here was saying that he has already seen some newly appointed assistant RDCs, before they even occupy office and they are shown where they are going, they are already threatening their perceived opponents. And I said, well, really? I said, what? Somebody cannot go online and even write threats? Really? This is serious. But so, Apollo, that's the, this thing has grown. It really has grown. The impunity is the kind of loss of sensitivity. Yeah, they not caring. Yeah, about what your opinion. So what? What does it matter? The public opinion. Therefore, what? And that's I know, I can see that's where your problem is. Yes, it is very insensitive in my view. That when you have these people who say, like I told you, katuhona katuakaba, and then you bring, some 300, probably politically essential, I don't know, towards 2026, maybe you need these essential individuals, or because like Were says the pressure was too much, and you say, I have pressure from traders, let me ease the pressure from the one he calls cadres. My understanding of the word cadre is different from these guys really. The cadreship. Cadreship, I understand it differently, Apollo. So I even feel very hesitant to call many of these individuals cadres.
A cadre is not influenced by benefits.
So it's this insensitivity, the detachment from public sentiment, that some of these actions happen and are timed in the way they are timed.
Okay, let me look at the messages that are coming in. And Osbat Mujisha is in Mutungo. He says the team you have hosted today rise my hope that this country still has people who are rational. He tags it to the topic of rationalization and rationale. I think it's a compliment to you guys. And my producer will run again that number on the screen. We want to get the feedback from you viewers. Tell us what you think about this process of rationalization and the contradictions, as well as the turnarounds that we see as some entities are being preserved, which actually were initially listed for either mergers or having to have them phased out. But again, when claims of bribery come out and start emerging, then Richard says he's not surprised. Actually, he would be surprised if these claims do not emerge at this point in time. And I wonder now what that means, Cheyune, if your colleague from Makerere thinks that at this point with Parliament having such a huge task, and he's so sure that claims of bribery will emerge. What does that mean?
You see, Richard Baguma says that because of a background, As I told you, the time we were in Makerere University, we had a celebrated, blameless official at the university called Bernard Onyango, academic registrar, where they used to say, actually had a myth that if you met Onyango and faced him, then you would fail exam. That was the university that nurtured us into rejecting what is wrong, rejecting what is unacceptable, and that brings me, even because this matter you have been discussing, the position of RDC and what. There is a section 70 which says that a person who should be appointed resident district commissioner should be a person of high moral character,
yes,
and proven integrity. That is in the Local Governments Act. High moral integrity, and then high moral character and proven integrity. Now, that one you can go into discussions, but good enough, Parliament has ordered for a probe. It is saying we need to understand the qualifications. Now, if we have also become victim, we who are already there. They are saying we want to know the qualifications of RDCs, deputy RDCs, and assistant RDCs. So the appointment of the assistant RDCs has stirred mud or dust for us who are already
If
there.
I may ask, who vets appointees for the position of the RDC?
No, ideally, this should be intelligence.
Oh.
The way I understand the operation of government. And intelligence can be very thorough, I want to assure you. So, when you see anything, that means intelligence either was ignored or it was not involved. This is so here.
Because even Parliament this week raised the same matter on the integrity of the members who have been appointed assistant RDCs. And
you see the Baganda have got a saying, Tikumbaga tekubwa musiufu. That people know that there is a wedding and they prepare, but you will find the musiufu has also entered. Maybe that's what happened.
No, but that means maybe a back gate was left open.
Maybe
to pass through.
Yeah, it could be. But so, and that also it is up to now with the observers, because it is the observers who are pointing fingers. But now it has now opened Pandora's box. Now, even RDCs, we don't know if you are qualified. In fact, by the way, I'm saying this because I get annoyed. Most of these districts, you have to prove yourself. When you have gone to a new district, they say, these are taka fellows. For me, it is after a few days, they say, I think we are not dealing with the other one we had. Because they know we are taka, by the way. I think that's why, either because they are biased or because of some of the experiences they have had.
And these are the people you're deployed to serve?
No, it is, I've told you, it is because the attitude of these people, and these are politicians. Because another DC who has made it hard for you to mislead the people in the district will not be a good RDC. No, we cannot. Because you think RDC should be your assistant to help you to win an election.
Some
even
politicians want you to be their assistant.
They want them to be their political mobilizers. And the RDCs who are clear minded, they say no. Or when you come, like now, we are in districts where an MP comes to say, when the government has sent items like a hose, like a mosquito nest, an MP comes and say, I have brought the mosquito net. Me as a now quickly come and say, this is Raya. This is the government which has sent. Now, you think that MP can be happy with me? Now we'll begin to say, who are these RDCs? We don't even know what they are doing. Now, when there's a problem, again they say, RDC, help on this. Now, this RDC who has no work, why do you call him? So, RDCs, they are useless. I was even hearing that Witchcraft mayor saying that the RDCs have no work. It is us. All this is in these laws that we monitor the projects, the services, the work, of local government and central government. And actually we monitor them, these local government fellows, because we are the agents, I mean we are the representative of the center. So, and they say he's a representative of the president, but not the president. Yeah, I see, you know, some of our colleagues, like these ones, I think Werike has had bragging and what. When they go, they say, I am the president. But when they say, even if people say, this is the president, say, no, I am not president. I am representative. It's not the same as president. I am president.
Yeah,
then
I remember one of you who was bragging that he's the president.
It is wrong. You can never.
Of the district.
Yes, you are not. No, you are representative of the president. But as a representative of the president, you are supposed to monitor the local government from the LOC 5 chairman to the lowest, and all the activities of the central government. So now this thing of losses, lack of rationalization and so on, I think we can summarize it in the religious, the biblical statement, which says that all have sinned. Yes. Now I can say all of us may be guilty of acting irrationally, because even when you check the opposition, the privileges which are accorded to leaders in the opposition. Look at do you know the salaries, the allowances, and the other privileges of the leader of opposition. Do you know how much it is? Look at the Lord Mayor, and when I talk about Lord Mayor, I'm not talking about Lukwago. I'm talking about the position, because even when Lukwago goes, another person will come and will get that hefty payment. Even they pay even the wife. I am told. I've not checked.
Yes.
Yes,
he received the monthly pay.
Yes, the Shamba boy, they are paid more salary than even established officers of government. Now, all these, when we say all have sinned, all are guilty, then if we agreed, you see the one of the challenges this country has had, even Professor Mudola used to write, and actually wrote, Mudola, talking about the politics of Uganda, is failure to attain what we call national consensus. We are ever talking disjointly. This one talks red, this one talks blue, this one talks green. We need to harmonize and check and agree on what is of national interest to us, so that we pursue it without excuses, without reservations. So if we do agree that we could have acted irrationally, then it means all these, the must lose, you must sacrifice, all of us must sacrifice. But you cannot tell me that leader of opposition earns all these billions are there for him to spend, then you attack the donations of the president. Why? It means even the leader of opposition has money to donate.
Okay.
You see, why are you donating? In the first place, empower people to work. Why do you encourage beggar mentality? When in Karamoja, I've been condemning begocracy. Begocracy is where a person thinks that somebody owes you living. When you see Apple, you stretch out the opening bomb mentality. You stretch out your arm. You put here something. Put here something.
Okay.
Why?
Thank you. Gerard Mukisa Gerard said, thank you so much for bringing Cheyune. We had missed him for very long. I don't know. Is it because he's very far away, far in Yatuk?
Yes, I cannot make it here.
I'm liking the discussion. Okay, Mukisa Gerard, thank you so much. And Samuel from Ibanda says, thank you so much for the discussions. Rationalization cannot help us, because people have expressed have expressed sheer interest, personal interest in the whole plan and strategy. I don't think we can benefit from this whole plan. Samuel thinks that maybe personal interests where drive have come to the fore during this whole debate. And you cannot rule out those personal interests, I think, Richard. It can't be.
Yeah, but...
I've talked of intense lobbying that has been going on.
Yeah.
People are trying to protect their jobs, their budgets, and all that.
Yeah, but we all have personal interests. It's okay to protect them. We should have institutional mechanisms to check conflict of interest. I think having personal interests is no problem. I think for me is to have personal interest override institutional and public interest. I think that's where there's a problem. But public interest is an aggregation of personal interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't find that a problem. The problem is where this now becomes the overriding consideration. So and then you have conflict of interest now. Yes, and that's where there's a problem. So if he's talking about that conflict of interest, and then the persons have, people need jobs. The ones who don't have are trying to get them. The ones who have are protecting them. Why not? Yeah. But there should be mechanisms. There should be ways, that protect public interest. Because you see, Apollo, rationalization of public expenditure is a good thing. I don't think there is anyone who says public expenditure should be as irrational as it is now. What we are talking about is the lie that what is going on is rationalization, when the opposite is happening. That's really what we are talking about. Yeah.
Dr. Chired Welanzala, I saw on General Katumbo Wamala struggling and to make a case to get UNRA back to the Ministry of Works and Transport.
First of all, I want to confirm that the lobbying has been there. And institutions that I personally know who did internal studies themselves to show what have achieved since they were created, at what budget, looking at salaries in the ministry where they are going with how much they are paying scientists there, and then...
Yeah, General Katumba Wamala was speaking about 39 billion
yes,
every year that would be saved on only the salaries that are being given and the money that is spent on the staff of UNRWA.
But I wish he also made a comparison to say that how many from UNRWA will be relocated to the ministry in order to fill up the human resource gap. Richard has been talking about some ministries here where we are doing some work, and you find two staff, to the extent that even when the budget is, they're lobbying for a budget, they cannot implement anything from within that ministry because they are understaffed, they don't have capacity. So at times they resort to contracting. So he should also show us that when they go back, how many will be retained, what salaries they will earn, to make a fair comparison. But anyway, in conclusion about this,
I wanted you to conclude on the issue of the appointment of RDCs.
Assistant RDCs.
No, RDCs and
okay.
the officers in that, officials in that office. Yes. Because even before Parliament, during the debate, they were saying really it is the integrity now is questionable. Their roles are not well defined.
Yeah, he has just read for you conditions. I think the law also what he didn't specifies
read is that he or she must be qualified to be a member of Parliament. He should qualify to be a member of Parliament.
He should be qualified, but you remember sometime, I think, during the time of the Mayor Sevana Kizito, we had another DC here who had stopped. She was a lady, either P4. Even writing a letter was a problem today, that some letters leaked here, and they were embarrassing, that had been written by the RDC of Central. She was in charge of Central Division. So like RDC Cheyune Senyonjo said, amongst them, and some rotten apples, and then we have had those because of the politics involved, that at times you have to give someone a job to withdraw him from his home area. You saw the speaker the other day saying that a standard RDC should not be deployed, and RDC should not be deployed in places where they are born, where they come from, because some of them are being political kingpins there. So if you find an opponent who is fearing them lobbying that they should be appointed, and maybe someone moves from Soroti to Chivoga, then you are safe when that person has gone out. So in the process, the political considerations overrule others. But I think it is important that we need integrity in leadership, because where it is heading in this country, before when we were young, if someone stole people would say, who is this? But lately, when you steal and you eat with the people, they will be happy. They will forget that you have stolen what you are eating.
That is my concern.
And this is what brings me to a disagreement with the president. Last time when he said that these corrupt people, the money they are stealing is government money. But if you go and steal my cows, there is nothing called government money. Every money that government has is kept in trust on behalf of the people. Government does not work. Government does not pay tax. Government does not generate revenue. Revenue comes from the people and their taxes. And government borrows on behalf of the people.
Okay.
So we don't have to look at wastage of resources as being government money. This is the people's money.
The one you wanted to make in just 1 minute, because we have to close the show.
Exactly. What I wanted to conclude with is that, one, did we need the rationalization? Yes. Were the objectives okay? Yes. Are we having fiscal difficulties in funding our budget? Yes, because if you have a budget of 52 trillion and then you are only able to collect 23 trillion, the rest you are borrowing, we are living beyond our means. Then are we able, even if we push URA to collect beyond that, it will be a problem. Why? Because of the poverty levels. The factories we are bringing are not, what they are producing are not all consumed here. We thought we can leverage on the regional markets, but because of conflict and other things, they are producing below capacity. The tax base is not expanding, so we have to go back on the same products, fuel every year. At the end of the day, it brings in imported inflation. So, and then you look at Bank of Uganda is telling you that only 1% of Ugandans are earning 1 million a month. The rest are below. So at the end of the day, the economics, the Musevenomics that we are talking about is not Musevening very well.
Okay, Richard, your parting shot.
I was in Parliament yesterday. We met members of Parliament. This is as a result of the Committee of Health suggesting that there should be taxation, increased taxation on beer and alcohol, and tobacco and that. And so that's the question I was asking. So for me, when you talk about rationalization and you tax kerosene, paraffin, and you really talk publicly to justify it, you really strain yourself justifying increased taxation. On the proposed fuel tax increases, the largest amount is on kerosene.
No, I had the justification from the PSST, Ramadan Gobi, saying that if they reduce the price of paraffin, people will use it to adulterate these other fuels like petrol and diesel. That is the justification he made.
Yeah, but you see, Professor Gobi is my friend. So when I hear him speak like that you see, we are saying you must increase the tax on paraffin, not to adulterate petrol. And that's supposed to be rational. You see, this is the ridiculousness you see I'm talking about. Then I asked Professor Gobi, so why are you reducing prices on alcohol? Why? Why don't you increase the cost of alcohol and tobacco, which are bringing you trouble in your hospitals and on the roads, and increasing your costs? So that's the rationalization apple we are talking about. When Cheyenne says rationalization should not be focusing on a few agencies, which many of them are even delivering better than public service. So that's what the irrationality apple I talk about. And when we come here and talk, and when we come here and talk about this irrationality, we are supposed to be good cadres. And so good cadres, we are supposed to be not clever on air. We are supposed to be sycophant and parrot irrationalities and own them. No, I don't think that's cadreship. I think cadreship is to step up and say, excuse us, we think that you are killing this cow of ours, which we all cherish, and you want to milk it while you starve it and kill it. Can we stop it?
You may never appear on the list of RDC.
Okay.
Why not say minister? Because Baguma is beyond that. Why don't you say a list of cabinet ministers or permanent secretaries? And
It's
so
because we were talking about other
disease. So thank you very much. As I told you, we need to say the background, the originality of everything is important. As I made a reference to Mugo wa Kibiro. Mugo wa Kibiro in the river between. Now, because this one, Wayaki kept saying, but these things were prophesied long ago by Mugo wa Kibiro. Now, there is nothing new. But we need to understand. Have you heard about have you forgotten that one time there was what was called demobilization of the army, the NRA. At that time it was NRA. It was demobilized to reduce the number of soldiers. Then there was also what was called the rationalization of the civil service, where the civil. I remember one of my professors that time, Professor Foster Byarugaba. May his soul rest in peace, was one of the members of who worked on that project, saying that the civil service is too big for the economy, cannot manage and so on. Now, what we are saying, the piecemeal approach should be abandoned, and whatever we do must be originally ours, homegrown. I am one of the rebels against IMF World Bank. You know, in fact, because of my background. In fact, I wonder the current caliber of students, youth, in secondary school, in university, are talking about music. Baguma and I, we are not talking about those, we are talking about ideas. Discuss ideas. Now, today, they are talking about pizza. That a hot dog. How do we eat a hot dog as a human being?
I have only 1 minute.
Now, the issue of assistant RDCs, the qualification is academic at least. Article 203, Part 2 of the Constitution says that for a person to be appointed resident district commissioner, he or she shall be a citizen of Uganda and qualified to be a member of parliament. A member of parliament is one who has A level
or equivalent.
A level. So when you look at me, I'm A level.
But the people who vote, you said either, so you're not clear. We're not clear who looks through those.
No, I'm telling you ideally.
It's not the National Council of Education.
No, I'm talking about ideally. But if it is ISO, it is supposed to liaise with the National Council of Higher Education, UNEB, and so on.
Our time is out.
Now, is this work done? When it is done, then you shall have the right caliber. But it is not A level alone. The other things I've told you, local governments, integrity,
character, impeachable character.
Yes, proven moral integrity, morality and integrity, and then proven experience in management of public affairs.
Good.
Not managing party affairs, managing public what?
Affairs. Thank you so much, Cheyune Senyonjo. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Richard Baguma. Thank you so much, Dr. Jared Wanzala. Thank you so much, our audience out there. And I didn't read your messages because of time, but we really treasure your comments and contributions. Let's catch up next Saturday in another edition of the dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. Thanks to the production team and everyone out there. I wish you a successful week ahead, and God bless you. God bless Uganda.